your best sales rep quietly stopped following up. And this is the exact same scenario that happened on an 8-figure team that I manage. So I know it's happening on other teams as well. One prospect snapped at them, told them something along the lines of, "You're too aggressive." And the sales rep took it personally and started to back off. Now deals are sitting in the pipeline. They're getting cold, they're stalling, and no one's telling you, the founder. The fix isn't less follow up, it's volume plus value. So, like I said, this exact same scenario just happened with the sales rep that I work with. And the problem is this concept of a negative loop reinforcement. And it's how good behavior gets trained out of your sales reps. So here's what happened. The rep was following up consistently, exactly the behavior that I instilled in him and that we want to see. And I'm sure that you want to see on your teams. One prospect felt smothered and lashed out against the rest, against the sales rep. "You guys are too much. You're too aggressive. Your follow-up is a little bit too much." And what happened there is the rep takes that hit personally, and the positive behavior that you're teaching them, that we're instilling in them, gets a negative reinforcement. And so the rep quietly stops following up. In his head, he's thinking, wow, maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe it's too aggressive. Maybe he's right. What happens is the deals start to stall and the conversion drops, right? And now your pipeline is stagnant. So this is what we call the negative reinforcement loop. So in the real life example that I just dealt with one of my sales reps, here's exactly what I told him. I said, it's actually a good sign if somebody tells you, "Hey, chill out a bit." It means that you're doing your job. I think it's really easy to get gun shy and back down and start to think that you're doing too much, but that is the worst thing. And so here's the reframe that I help the sales rep with, and I think that you can help your team with. It's the pushback is a signal, right? If no one is telling you that it's too much, you're not following up enough, right? Pushback means that you're hitting that threshold. It means that you're on the edge of doing your job and doing it well. I help them understand that gun shy sales reps that are under following up by default, that fear is actually costing them deals quietly, and they're not seeing it because one person backlashed at them, right? And so what we want to do here is we want the behavior to stay. We just want the method of follow-up to change, right? So we fix the touch, not the frequency. It's not about the frequency. It's about what was actually inside of the follow-up. So here's the diagnosis, right? Nagging versus serving. So same volume, two completely different outcomes. Nagging is like, are you ready to buy it? Are you ready to buy it? It's very transactional. It's surface level. There's zero value to this. Serving, on the other hand, is every touch is value driven. Every touch moves them forward and it gets them closer to a yes or an informed no, right? And so the last piece of this is value driven follow up always carries the ask, right? So you're giving first, you're giving value, and then you're following up with the ask. The difference is the content, not the cadence, right? So what is actually in the follow up? What are they saying? What are they asking? What are they providing? So this is volume plus value, not just volume alone. And most sales reps are doing volume alone and they're nagging. Are you ready to buy? 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 And no wonder the prospects are getting annoyed. So here I always train my reps to think of value plus volume, not just volume. So this is an example from a real coaching call. And this is what I told the sales rep is if the follow-up is not value driven, it feels like nagging, right? But if we are value driven, you're just serving. So we have to be thinking all the time, how do we work with volume plus value? Our follow-up should always be volume and value driven. And so here's the audit that you can do inside of your sales team. If anytime that a prospect tells you or a rep tells you that one of your prospects or one of your buyers said that we're too aggressive, a lot of times I'll see this on appointment reminders. I'll see it on in huddles. When you're trying to hold somebody accountable to following up, they'll say, yeah, but they told me that I'm too aggressive. So I tried to chill it out a bit. And what you got to do is you actually have to say, go and find me that specific example. Let's see. I want to see where they said you're too aggressive and why. And we want to dissect that, right? And read out loud to them. Is this transactional? Is this surface level? Or is it value driven? And almost all the time, it's very transactional. It's very surface level, right? And so, of course, the prospect is not getting any value. Of course, they're going to be annoyed if you're just sending them the same, "Are you ready to buy" message all the time. And so right there in that moment, I rework the situation with them, and let's rewrite this follow-up as value driven. And let's keep the same ask inside of it, but let's leave the value first. And so what happens is when you do this type of feedback loop and coaching, you start to systemize your follow-up, and the reps will start to reinforce it themselves because they now know I need to lead with value. They lead with value, they get a positive response on their follow-up, they close more deals, and now we have the positive reinforcement loop back installed, which is exactly what we want. So here it's 3 value-driven touches that we can use, and each one serves the buyer and carries the ask at the same time. The first example is sending a relevant case study or spec or photo or screenshot of a happy client, just like the one that you were speaking to. Here's a build. Here's a case study just like you. I thought about you. What are your thoughts about continuing forward, right? And I always like to use an open-ended question at the end. The second one is answer the objection that they didn't voice, right? And so a lot of times at the end of call, there's a little bit of pressure or resistance. And if the prospect is not being upfront with your sales reps, there's some sort of objection that they have not voiced. And a lot of times we'll use follow-up to answer that question. And so let's say, for example, it's financing. We can have a follow-up say, hey, I thought about you. It sounded like the finances might be a little bit of a concern. Here's something I put together that can potentially help you. Would you like more information on that? And then we ask them, right? And we try to get them back on a call. And then the third thing is to give them a decision tool, right? And what is a decision tool? A decision tool is a cost comparison, a checklist, buyer's guide, all of the things that they need to know that's going to help them come closer to a decision. And then ask them, after reviewing this, can you let me know what your thoughts are and if you're still thinking about moving forward? And so now that's value-driven follow-up. 3 examples of how you can fix it. And here's the model, right? So you want to, each touch should have value plus ask, right? Value moves them one step forward, educates them, nurtures them, gives them something that they want. And the ask is the question, the open-ended question that you want to get a response to see if this person is still engaged so you can ultimately get them on a call. This process is repeated across the follow-up cadence, right? And so when a sales rep sees the prospect responding positively and they see that it worked, the behavior reinforces itself. And this is something that you're going to get more of. And then to even make this even better, when you see this happening on your sales team, what I like to do is I like to highlight it and I like to shout out this rep in front of the entire sales team. And I'll explain the situation and I'll show them what we did, and I'll show them the response, and I'll show them the deal is closed. And now this behavior that happened to one rep is now trained into the minds of all of our reps, and they see this happening. And so now we start to see this snowball effect. Why this matters is because pipeline maturity is bigger than one buyer's complaint, right? And so deals close so that you have deals that are being nurtured, followed up with, instead of staying stagnant in your pipeline. Reps stop training themselves to quit, and the method is documented, not personality based. It's something that it's a system that you actually install inside of your teams. Hey, by the way, my name is Chris Sanchez, and I build predictable, elite, and fully systemized sales teams. I've helped clients generate over $54 million in revenue and ramped countless sales reps using the approach that I call the sales team operating system. What you just watched was a real sales team OS session that I pulled from a live client. If you want to see exactly how I run, manage, and scale elite 8-figure sales teams, don't click away just yet. In this next video right here, there's another sales team OS breakdown where I go deeper into the building, coaching, managing elite reps. Go ahead and click it and enjoy. Cheers.